extremely well this evening, and I hope you're in the mood for some scary stories. Now, tonight is going to be a mix of creepy encounters, so sit back, relax, 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 get comfortable, get cozy, and get ready to be spooked. Now, with that being said, and of course, as always, without any further ado, let's get into tonight's stories, shall we? Alrighty, so the first story for tonight was originally posted by a Redditor called Fox-Mulder. Their story is called I Viewed the Property of a Man Who Murdered His Previous Tenant. When I finished uni, I moved back home until I found a job. As soon as I could afford to, I set up a profile on the website Spare Room. I was contacted by James, who had a room to rent on the outskirts of the town I worked in. It sounded good, but he wanted to talk on the phone before inviting me to view it. We had a chat one evening, and it turned out we had some things in common. We both enjoyed fitness, particularly swimming, and we were both movie buffs. By the end of the call, it had felt like chatting to an old friend, and I was looking forward to meeting him. Now, James didn't specify his age, but I assumed that he was in his 20s, like me. When I went to view the property, he actually came out of the house next door to greet me. When he introduced himself as James, I was pretty shocked. He was at least 50, dressed quite conservatively, and looked like he was wearing a hairpiece. If he had told me on the phone that he was in his early 20s, I would not have questioned it. I went ahead with the viewing, but I had already kind of decided I didn't want to rent a room from him. I wanted to live with people who were an age similar to me. I was also put off by the house decor, which looked like it hadn't changed since the 80s. When I viewed the bedroom, it looked like it was occupied by a young person. There were several pairs of trainers and gaming consoles. James said that the previous tenant, Mark, was moving to London for work. Now, coincidentally, my name is Mark too. James invited me to sit in the living room after the house tour. I didn't want to be rude, so I did. He explained that he cared for his elderly mother who lived next door. Then he started complimenting my style, saying I looked cool. He proceeded, James. He proceeded to put his hand on my leg, which made me feel very uncomfortable. I mean, it would. That is completely uncalled for and incredibly creepy, and also invading your personal space. I mean, this is just wild. When he asked if I was interested in the room, so okay, right. I'm just picturing the scene, okay? James and the Redditor are sat in the living room. James is talking to him, explaining that he cares for his elderly mother, and then he starts that this is gonna work. Now, anyways, when he asked if I was interested in the room, I said that I had some other properties to view, but I would be in touch, which was a lie. I then made my excuses to leave. Everything about him screamed red flag. I just wanted to get out of the house. As soon as I was back in my car, I called my mum to tell her how freaked out I was, and I absolutely would not be living there. James texted me a few days later to ask if I had thought any more about moving in. I mean, eager much. I lied and I said I'd found somewhere closer to town. I did eventually find something with some other young professionals, which turned out to be great. I'm glad. Some months later, our town was shocked by the news that a man's body had been found in the fields on the outskirts. He was later identified as Mark. I didn't think much of that until I saw that one of the murder suspects was his landlord, James. The same James whose house I viewed. I saw him on the news and I got instant chills. He was later convicted of Mark's murder. Wow. This story is absolutely mental. Thank God for the Redditor's gut feeling, and thank God that the Redditor listened to his gut feeling. This is insane. Can you imagine, you have this gut feeling that something is off. Granted, James made it quite obvious by, being completely inappropriate with this Redditor and putting his hand on the Redditor's leg and starting to compliment him and everything, and then being a little bit too eager to have him rent the room. But regardless of how obvious it was, can you imagine the shock of seeing that on the news, seeing James's mug on the news as a murder suspect, a suspect in the murder of his previous tenant, no less, Mark. I mean, you also got to remember that the Redditor actually saw Mark's room. I wonder whether Mark was even still alive at this point. This is absolute insanity. See, if I had to wager a guess, I would say no, because otherwise, why would James be looking for somebody else to occupy the room? Honestly, I am so glad that the Redditor listened to his gut feeling and stayed safe, because if he had ignored the gut feeling and had actually rented out the room, things could have ended in an incredibly disastrous way. I'm also glad that he found a better place to live and that all worked out. You guys, friendly reminder that if you have a gut feeling that something is off, listen to it. I mean, what is the worst that can happen if you listen to a gut feeling? That it's wrong, okay? It's better to be safe than sorry, though. I mean, you can never be too careful. So, stay safe, you guys. Don't try to people please. Listen to your gut and protect yourself and think about your own safety. city for school. I didn't know anybody and I was suffering your typical first time away from home loneliness. A lot of this had to do with being separated from my best friend for the first time, and I was desperate for some companionship. I took the dating apps to try and build some sort of bridge. I had a couple of dates which ultimately didn't work out, but I guess that isn't so important. Then I matched with this one guy. He seemed like the whole package. He was cute, he was into music, art, and we had a mutual love of Stephen King. We talked for about a week, and eventually we exchanged numbers and continued talking in more depth. I was young and naive enough at the time to catch feelings for this guy, and I honestly thought that I was falling for him. We had deeper conversations for about another week. He got to know me very personally, and it was scary to me how much we actually had in common. We made a date to meet at the bar. He told me that he was running a little behind and to go have a drink at the bar and he would meet me there. Now it was sort of late in the afternoon, so the area was fairly empty. They had two other girls that showed up at the bar during my time there. One of the girls had broken our silence by saying that she was there for a first date with a really cute guy, and she was nervous and asked if me or the other girl had any advice for her. Oh, how cute. I was there for a first date too that I was extremely excited about. The other girl was also there for a first date with a guy. I can see where this is going. I can kind of see where this is going. We shared our thoughts and really hyped each other up. It was a total sister bonding moment. That was until we all drew the conclusion that we were all there to meet the same guy. Same pictures, different names, different personalities. This guy played us in a big way. Believe it or not, this was actually a huge letdown that turned into something good. The three of us ended up hitting it off naturally, and we actually stayed at the bar and talked. Since then, the three of us became very close, and both are serving in my upcoming wedding. That is awesome. We just clicked over the mutual embarrassment. One of them actually lives with me, and we truly became best friends. But now onto the subject of my wedding. Over the weekend, I had my Bachelorette party trip. My fiancé had his bachelor party trip over the weekend as well, so it's like his stag do. He and his friends were staying at a fishing camp, while me and my friends were at an Airbnb not very far away. It wasn't like a huge trip or anything like that, we just wanted to have a good time. Well, we were really enjoying ourselves. I had to go shopping one day at a nearby store where my longtime best friend and two other best friends joined me. Not to give too much information, but I had to buy a new bra. That'll probably be relevant in a bit. That night we were playing Cards Against Humanity and we were having some drinks. It got to the portion of the evening where my mum, who was also there, wanted to go around the room so everyone could tell how they met me or share a cringy story or just anything they wanted to share. I wasn't looking forward to that. I mean, I feel you guys, I would not. I would feel so awkward. So I wasn't looking forward to that, but it's customary, and oh, did it lead to something. One of my best friends, the one that I met at the bar, came forward for her turn and laid quite the truth out on the table. So apparently, that day where the three of us showed up for a date with the same guy was completely meticulously orchestrated. She was having trouble making friends of her own, and she noticed me and the other girl at school. She made a fake dating profile after apparently hearing the two of us mentioning it at some point, and essentially stalked the app until she found us. See, I'm kind of assuming that the Redditor and this other girl both mentioned this dating app at separate times to separate people, because from what I understood from the story is that they all met at that bar for the first time. So that's kind of what I'm assuming. Anyways, so she made a fake dating profile after apparently hearing the two of us mentioning it at some point, and then essentially stalked the app until she found us. This is how she got to know us, which is why we were all able to hit it off so easily. She orchestrated the whole thing in order to make friends. Her cadence and her delivery of the story was so damn strange. It was so creepy. First of all, it's a big revelation, and it's a strong relationship that is built on deceit. I honestly felt violated and very uneasy. My mom cut through the tension by changing the subject. Later, I was outside playing my guitar when my best friend and other best friend, I'm sorry, I could have given them alternate names, came outside. We discussed it and also mutually agreed that it was really weird, and she picked a hell of a time to drop this bomb. So many things that once seemed so innocent started taking on a more creepy undertone. Just the day before, this girl was in the same fitting room as me, with my breasts out while I was trying on bras. She has pictures of the three of us together on her mirror in her bedroom. I personally got out of that kind of thing in high school, but given the recent revelation, it just adds some ick to the mix. We've shared very intimate details about some of our lives, and I'm wondering what's true and what's not. I called my fiancé that night and I asked if I could see him. Not for the reason of what I described, I just missed him. He was thrown off by the story though. He didn't know how to feel about it, and also said he wouldn't have known what he would have done if one of his buddies did that with him. I feel betrayed. Maybe I'm overreacting, but if I am, I'm not the only one. I guess nobody got hurt, but it was a creepy way of taking advantage of two people who were vulnerable. Alrighty, first of all, the Redditor is clearly feeling betrayed and violated, and her trust in this person has taken some serious dents, you know. Honestly, I can't blame this Redditor. What she's feeling is entirely valid. I mean, she has built this connection of trust and friendship. It's one of her best friends with this person, and then it turns out that she orchestrated them meeting in like the creepiest way possible, like honestly giving major stalker vibes. I mean, going through all of that trouble to create a fake dating app profile, to then search the entire app for those two girls in particular that you want to be friends with, rather than, you know, just approaching them. I mean, I get that maybe you're shy, but this is taking it several steps too far. You know, going through all of that trouble, setting up dates with them at the exact same time, on the exact same date, at the exact this Redditor is feeling at the moment about her so-called friend is entirely valid. I mean, I also agree that some of the things that were shared over the years, moments that were shared, you know, things like trying on the bras and the photos on the mirror, I completely understand the Redditor now not being comfortable with that anymore. Wow, this is absolutely insane. And if this was to happen to me, I don't think I would be able to be friends with this person anymore. You can't trust them. You clearly can't trust them. Okay, you might have built a good relationship over the years, but it was all built on lies and deceit and honestly creepy stalker behavior. What are you supposed to think of that? You guys can definitely share your opinions on this in the comments. I'm curious to read what you guys think, but this is absolutely wild to me, and I would not be able to trust that person again. Alrighty, the last story for this evening is a bit of a shorter one, but it's got one of our favourite things in it. You'll see. The story was originally posted by a Redditor called BryanBohru, and his story is called The Grinning Man at the Back. We've got a grinner, folks. Anyways, this happened to me roughly 10 years ago. For reference, I'm a male and would have been in my early to mid 40s back then. I was meeting a friend for coffee and I was running a bit early, so I had about half an hour to kill. So I stopped at a little park on the way to the coffee place. It had a parking area along the main road that led to the park itself, which was basically an asphalt trail around a small oval-shaped pond, which was half lined with a wooded area. There was a shelter and restrooms and a kids' playground right near the parking lot. It was late morning and very sunny and getting warm, so I opened the driver's side window all the way and the passenger side window about an inch or so. I was scrolling through emails on my phone when I noticed movement a few yards away on the trail. A young man in black sweatpants and a black hoodie was stretching with his back towards me. I was the only car parked in the lot at the time. I went back to my phone and my emails when suddenly there was a pounding on the passenger side window. It was the guy who had been stretching mere seconds ago. He scared the absolute crap out of me. I asked him, can I help you? He didn't reply, but he put his face, and you guys, I want you to picture this, okay? He put his face right up by the crack in the window and was grinning with a crazed look in his eyes. I quickly started the car up and shut both windows just as he dashed over to my side of the car and began trying to open the door. Absolutely not. What the hell? I honked the horn a couple times and shouted at him, asking what his problem was. He was still grinning like an idiot and not saying anything. Another car suddenly pulled into the lot and parked a few spaces away, and the grinning guy turned sure he didn't come back out. That event weirded me out for some time afterwards, and I was thankful my car doors were locked and that I was able to close the windows before anything could happen. You guys, I will never understand what the deal is with this select group of creeps, the grinners, right, who choose a creepy smile as their weapon of choice to creep out the person they have their eye on. I will never understand it, and just, trying to imagine it, trying to imagine the scene just gives me goosebumps. Like, honestly, that is so creepy. Also, if it was such a hot summer's day, I don't know if it was actually summer, but the Redditor did mention that it was hot. Why is he wearing sweatpants and a hoodie? I mean, it's hot enough for the Redditor to be like, I'm gonna roll the windows down because it's getting really hot in here. Why is he dressed in a black hoodie and black sweatpants? Like, what? What's the deal? I don't know, maybe I'm reading into this too much, but kind of sketchy. Obviously, the weird grinning, a lot more sketchy, right? And somehow I really don't like that he ran off into the woods right near a playground for children. I know playgrounds are usually for children, but, don't mind me. Honestly, I don't like the idea of that guy creeping around in the bushes with his creepy ass smile. Like, sorry. No, that is not somebody you want anywhere near yourself, let alone your children. That is, no. That's gotta be an absolute no from me. Honestly, somebody explain to me how these people's minds work, because I can't wrap my head around it. I'm sorry. Alright, you guys, on this incredibly concerning note, I'm gonna say goodbye to all of you. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did and you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and leaving a comment down below. It really helps, and I really enjoy reading you guys' thoughts and opinions on these stories. Thank you guys so much for once again choosing to hang out with me tonight, and I will see you